Hello, welcome to the Self Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start Chapter 4, Change and Development in Rural Society. And our topic is the Green Revolution and its social consequences. We saw that land reforms have had only a limited impact on rural society and the agrarian structure in most regions. In contrast, the Green Revolution of the 1960s and 1970s brought about significant changes in the areas where it took place. The Green Revolution, as you know, was a government program of agricultural modernization. It was largely funded by international agencies that was based on providing high-yielding variety or hybrid seeds along with pesticides, fertilizers, and other inputs to farmers. Green Revolution programs were introduced only in areas that had assured irrigation because sufficient water was necessary for the new seeds and methods of cultivation. It was also targeted mainly at the wheat and rice growing areas. As a result, only certain regions such as the Punjab, Western UP, coastal Andhra Pradesh, and parts of Tamil Nadu received the first wave of Green Revolution package. The rapid social and economic transformations that were seen in these areas stimulated a spate of studies by social scientists and vigorous debates about the impact of the Green Revolution. Agricultural productivity increased sharply because of the new technology. India was able to become self-sufficient in food grain production for the first time in decades. The Green Revolution has been considered a major achievement of the government and of the scientists who contributed to the effect. However, there were certain negative social effects that were pointed out by sociologists who studied the Green Revolution areas, as well as adverse environmental impact. In most of the Green Revolution areas, it was primarily the medium and large farmers who were able to benefit from the new technology. This was because inputs were expensive and small and marginal farmers could not afford to spend as much as large farmers to purchase these inputs. When agriculturists produce primarily for themselves and are unable to produce for the market, it is known as the subsistence agriculture, and they are usually termed peasants. Agriculturists or farmers are those who are able to produce surplus over and above the needs of the family and so are linked to the market. It was the farmers who were able to produce a surplus for the market who were able to reap the most benefits from the Green Revolution and from the commercialization of agriculture that followed. Thus, in the first phase of the Green Revolution in the 1960s and 1970s, the introduction of new technology seemed to be increasing inequalities in rural society. Green Revolution crops were highly profitable mainly because they yielded more produce. Well-to-do farmers who had access to land, capital, technology, and know-how, and those who could invest in new seeds and fertilizers, could increase their production and earn more money. However, in many cases it led to the displacement of tenant cultivators, for landowners began to take back land from their tenants and cultivate it directly because cultivation was becoming more profitable. This made the rich farmers better off and worsened the condition of the landless and marginal holders. In addition, the introduction of machinery such as tillers, tractors, threshers, and harvesters in areas such as Punjab and parts of Madhya Pradesh led to the displacement of the service caste groups who used to carry out these agriculture related activities. This process of displacement also increased the pace of rural urban migration. The ultimate outcome of the Green Revolution was a process of differentiation in which the rich grew richer and many of the poor stagnated or grew poorer. It should be noted that employment and wages for agricultural workers did increase in many areas because the demand for labor increased. Moreover, rising prices and a shift in the mode of payment of agricultural workers from payment in kind to cash actually worsened the economic condition of most rural workers. Following the first phase of the Green Revolution, the second phase is currently being introduced in the dry and semi-arid regions of India. In these areas, there has been a significant shift from dry to wet cultivation, along with changes in the cropping pattern and type of crops grown. Increasing commercialization and dependence on the market in these areas, for instance, where cotton cultivation has been promoted, has increased rather than reduced livelihood insecurity, as farmers who once grew food for consumption now depend on the market for the incomes. In market oriented cultivation, especially where a single crop is grown, a fall in prices or a bad crop can spell financial ruins for farmers. In most of the Green Revolution areas, farmers have switched from a multi-crop system, which allowed them to spread risk, to a monocrop regime, which means that there is nothing to fall back in on in case of crop failure. Another negative outcome of Green Revolution strategy was the worsening of regional inequalities. The areas that underwent this technological transformation became more developed, while other areas stagnated. For instance, the Green Revolution was promoted more in western and southern part of the country, and in Punjab, Haryana and western UP than in eastern part of the country. As a result, we find agriculture in states such as Bihar and in eastern UP and in dry regions such as Telangana to be relatively undeveloped. These are also regions that continue to have an entrenched feudal agrarian structure in which the landed caste and landlord maintain power over the lower caste, landless workers and small cultivators. The sharp caste and the class inequalities, together with exploitative labor relations in these regions, has given rise to various kinds of violence, including intercaste violence in recent years. Often it is thought that the imparting knowledge of scientific farming method will improve the conditions of Indian farmers. We should remember that Indian farmers have been cultivating the land for centuries, much before the advent of the Green Revolution. They have very deep and extensive traditional knowledge about the land they till and the crops they sow. Much of this knowledge, like the many traditional varieties of seeds that were developed over the centuries by farmers, is being lost as hybridized, high yielding, and genetically modified varieties of seeds are being promoted as more productive and scientific. In view of the negative environmental and the social impact of modern methods of cultivation that have been observed, a number of scientists as well as farmers' movements now suggest a return to traditional, more organic seeds and the methods of cultivation. Many rural people themselves believe that the hybrid variety are less healthy than the traditional ones. Now let us wind up the session and thank you very much for engaging yourself with the self-learning podcast.